Why is the verdict more relevant than ever in 2025? There are two reasons why. Reason no. One is that this was the first time that there was a jury of 6 women and 6 men deliberating for over 40 hours. Yes, over 40 hours to reach unanimous decisions. And that's something that we don't hear about very often in the criminal justice system. You don't have to be a lawyer or a legal expert to understand that reaching unanimous decisions can be tough, especially with 12 people from different backgrounds, personalities and perspectives, all trying to agree on the same thing. But these 12 people did it, and they were able to do it despite the challenges and the pressure that they faced. So what does this tell us? It tells us that a unanimous verdict is possible even when things are tough. It also tells us that a unanimous verdict is worth fighting for, because it shows that everyone has taken the time to really consider all of the evidence and all of the arguments, and that everyone has had a chance to be heard. That's what justice is all about. Reason no. 2 is that this was the first time that there was a hung jury in the United States since 1986. A hung jury happens when a jury cannot agree on a verdict. They are unable to come to a unanimous decision, and so they end up giving different verdicts, some people saying guilty and others saying not guilty. This is actually not a rare occurrence in the United Kingdom. It happens quite frequently there. In fact, much more frequently than here in the United States, where most states require unanimous juries. In federal cases, a hung jury like this would result in a mistrial being declared, and then the government could choose to retry the case with a new jury. However, the government doesn't always win the right to do that. For example, in the famous case of Salman Rushdie, the author who was attacked by an Iranian death squad in New York City in 1993 after the publication of his book The Satanic Verses, his attacker pleaded not guilty to murder and conspiracy charges. After 4 days of deliberations, the jury failed to reach a unanimous verdict and ended up hanging. As a result, the judge declared a mistrial and the charges against the defendant were dropped. Even though there was clear evidence that he was involved in the attack on Rushdie, the defendant was set free. This highlights one of the weaknesses of our criminal justice system. The fact that sometimes criminals can escape justice simply because of hung juries. Now let's get back to the verdict. Here's why this case matters now more than ever before. What does it mean for us today? First, it means that the law must evolve with the times. The law has traditionally been very clear that there are 3 elements required for a crime to have occurred. Actus reus, which is the guilty act itself. Mens rea, which is the guilty mind or the intent behind the act. And finally, causation, which is the link between the act and the harm that was done. In this case, however, things are not so clear-cut. The evidence against Epstein was largely circumstantial and relied heavily on the testimony of his victims. There was no physical evidence linking him directly to the crimes, and no direct witnesses who saw him commit them. This makes it difficult to prove causation in a court of law, because it is hard to show that the harm done to the victims was actually caused by Epstein and not someone else. So, how should the law deal with cases like this, where causation is so difficult to establish? Should the burden of proof be higher, or should the standard of proof be lower? This is something that the verdict does not answer, but it is an important question for us to think about. Second, it means that the justice system can sometimes fail us. The defense argued that the only evidence of causation in this case was the testimony of the alleged victims. They claimed that this testimony was unreliable, and that there was reasonable doubt as to whether Epstein was actually guilty. The jury ultimately agreed with the defense, and found Epstein not guilty of all charges. This is a reminder that our justice system is not perfect, and that sometimes innocent people can go free while guilty people can be convicted. We should never forget that. Finally, it means that we need to continue fighting for reform in the justice system, The verdict was a major victory for the defense, and it sent shockwaves throughout the country. Many people were outraged by the verdict and felt that Epstein should have been convicted of all charges. This is understandable given the nature of the allegations against him and the evidence that was presented at trial. However, we must remember that Epstein was innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, and ultimately that is what the jury decided. Whether we agree with their decision or not, we must respect it. Instead of wasting time and energy trying to overturn the verdict, we should focus our efforts on working within the system to make positive changes. One way we can do this is by supporting organizations that are working to reform the justice system and make it more fair and equitable for everyone. These organizations are on the front lines every day, fighting for change and making a real difference in the lives of those who are caught in the criminal justice system. By supporting them, we can help ensure that the verdict is not in vain and that real change is made in the justice system. So here's my challenge to you. If you are watching this video, please take a few minutes to learn more about these organizations and the work they are doing. See if you can find one that you are passionate about and support them in any way that you can. Whether it is through donations, volunteering your time, or simply spreading the word, together we can make a real difference and honor the legacy of the verdict by creating a more just and equitable society for all. Here are 5 ways to support our independent news channel. Number 1. You can make a tax-deductible donation through the provided link. Your support helps us continue our critical work. Number 2. You can join our membership program by clicking the Join button below this video. As a member, you'll get exclusive content and discounts on merchandise. No, you can become a monthly or yearly subscriber. For as little as $2.99 a month, you can subscribe to our channel and get exclusive content. No. 4. You can purchase one of our t-shirt bundles. We have high-quality t-shirts that are affordably priced at $27.99. Buy one for yourself and one for a friend. No. You can follow us on social media and share our content to help spread the word. Every little bit helps, and we appreciate your support.